It's showtime at Homestead, Miami.
Andre Baranowskis at the line, steals it in the Indy 250.
Gordon and Baxter's in trouble, and they go. Gordon's in the wall, jumps right around.
Side by side on the final lap, coming to the checkered flag.
Steve Morgan, the last lap pass, and the victory in Las Vegas.
Welcome to the NOFSRL.
Hello everybody, this is Napa Fan here, and this is race number 12 in season number 9 of the NOFSRL Chick-fil-A Cup Series. We are here for the first time ever under the lights at the Martinsville Speedway here on this Friday night. Gonna be a fun one for the STP Old Dominion 500, 100 laps of action around the 0.526 mile speedway in Martinsville, Virginia. It's the last race before the All-Star race next weekend. And let me tell you, we've got a lot of great stuff coming up here on Napa Fan in the next month or so. We got All-Star race weekend next weekend. We got Indy 250 week coming up. We got a James Eddie Wicker Cheetah coming up in about a month. But all the focus right now is on this race. First time under the lights at Martinsville. And Trey, you're calling the race last night for the Turkey Hill Series. You saw how that race went. How more wild do you think this race is going to be here with these faster Cup cars?
This race is definitely going to be a lot more wild. We saw this in qualifying. We even saw this in uncharted qualifying. These guys will fight door to door going around this little half-mile paperclip here in Southern Virginia. The Cup cars have higher downforce and lower downforce and higher horsepower than the Turkey Hill Series cars, which have vice versa, the higher downforce and the lower horsepower. So it's definitely going to be a fun one here tonight. So sit back and watch, ladies and gentlemen. You are in for a good show.
Yeah, we've had a couple of solid races as of late here in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series as well. Of course, Talladega 2 weeks ago was wild. Dover last week was unexpectedly wild. And I'm having a good feeling about this one, too. Just a good feeling. The grip here is a lot less than it normally is. They're going to be sliding a lot more. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more passing in this race than we have in past Martinsville races. So you can't really give it to anyone until the checkered flag here tonight. This is how they line up in the championship standings. Give you the chase points. Alexander Rowe, still the points leader, 81 ahead of the cutoff mark. Reagan Whitlock is 74 points ahead. Shane Lake is 72 points ahead. Sam Oskin, 45 points ahead. Zachary Fitzwater, 36 points ahead, I should say. Ryan Durrani, 35 points ahead. Bradley Areem, 33 points ahead. Diego Pez, 26 ahead. Andrew Miller, 11 ahead. And Herja Larvin Alonso has moved inside the chase grid, 3 points ahead. Mark Davidson, 3 points out. Matt Dalio, Nicholas Samedy above tied, 13 points out of the chase grid after 11 races, only 9 races left in the regular season. And for the wild card standings, Wyatt Quayle, 23 points ahead. Jesse Turner, 10 points ahead, then Thomas Troxel and Iquan Haslam. All 4 of these guys have won races this season. Troxel, 10 points behind. Iquan Haslam, 12 points behind the wild card standings. The wild card will be given to the 2 drivers with wins with the most points outside the top 10. All right. With all that out of the way, let's give you guys the starting lineup here for the STP Old Dominion 500. Cody Sill in the number 37, whose development driver won here in Season 5 of the Chick-fil-A Cup for the fastest time in qualifying the other day, yesterday. This was another day, so I guess that works out. Trey Bartow has had a very tough season so far. Going to be starting the outside pole, looking to get some redemption in his final season. Nicolay Sykes in the 6 alongside Fisher G in row 2. Mark Davidson to the inside of John Arndt. John Arndt looking to rebound a little bit this season as well in the 05 machine. Uncharted driver Brandon Mayhew to the inside of Silas Orden. Then the other uncharted driver in the field, Trey Smith, alongside Reagan Whitlock. Whitlock with a great opportunity starting, or should I say taking, the points lead at the end of the night. As you see, Alexander Rowe is deep in the field here, outside the top 30, going to be starting in that number 25. But either way, Trey, you know the drivers in this series very well. You know this is a tough place to win a race at. Who do you think is going to be in victory lane at the end of the night here at the Martinsville Speedway?
Well, Napa, yesterday in the Turkey Hill Series race, we saw Seth Cole starting from the outside pole, went on to win the race due to pit strategy. I think Trey Bartow, he hasn't had a tough season. He has had a tough season so far. This, like you said during qualifying, this track drives a lot like North Wilkesboro, where Bartow's last win was. I think Trey Bartow gets it done here tonight.
It's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. No One Hot Night isn't until next weekend with the All-Star race, but I have a feeling we're going to have One Hot Night tonight as well. Short Track Friday night in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series with Green Flag Racing at the Paperclip under the lights. Bartow hanging strong on the outside, but unable to get the advantage on Cody Sill. He'll move down to the inside, though, as Sill moves up the racetrack. Here we go. The slipping and sliding already starting here at the Paperclip, but Bartow unable to hold the inside as Sill continues to lead here at Martinsville.
Bartow tried to cross Sill over, but Sill will come off turn 4 and lead lap number 2, and Bartow will settle back, losing a little bit of time on the 37. Meanwhile, back in the pack, Fisher G going wide a little bit. 57 trying to go behind, below him.
This is a huge opportunity for guys like Brandon Mayhew and Trey Smith. Of course, Trey Smith doing pretty well in the Turkey Hill Series. Already won twice this season over there, but huge opportunity for these guys in these much more powerful Cup cars. And for both Mayhew and Smith, they only made a handful of starts in this series, and they both got solid starting positions here for this race. And for a short track race, that's going to go a long way as the night goes along for these guys. Keegan Thompson on the inside of Silas Order right there. Gatlin Downey moving his way through the field as well. Whitlock on the outside, falling back just a little bit there. Heck, last night we saw a flip in the Turkey Hill Series race as a pass for the race lead. Trey Bartow to the inside of Cody Sill. Sill must have gone wide, and that's how you get a lead change in any place. You just don't focus on the lead. Bartow to the front here in the STP Old Dominion 500, as Sill's going to fall back to 4th most likely. Davidson to the inside for 3rd.
So most likely wheel hopped it going into turn 1, which we saw a lot of drivers do in the Turkey Hill Series race last night. So unfortunate for Sill, but it's a long race. We're only 5 coming on 6% of the way through the race, so he has some time, but definitely tough break for that 37. Bartow back in to the lead.
Going to be interesting to see how Bartow maneuvers this race. Nikolai Sykes with a great opportunity here. Really haven't talked much about him so far this season. He won his dual race back at Daytona in February. But Nikolai Sykes, you know, he's been kind of quiet this season for the single car Angel Racing. We'll have to see if Sykes finds a way around the veteran driver of Trey Bartow. I mean, this is a rookie driver against a 9-season veteran, and Sykes is hanging right with him. Of course, Mark Davison, he's obviously proven himself to be a very solid driver in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. Won the Coke 600 last year. That's our next points race here in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. But Davison up to 3rd right now for Father Fruit Motorsports. Great run for him. Sill, our pole sitter, fell back to 4th there. And like you mentioned, most likely a wheel hop on the 37. That caused him to lose the race lead. Fisher G for Zidell Motorsports currently in the 5th position. I want to go through the field. Hopefully nothing happens up front while we do so. They've actually calmed it down throughout the field. Here you got LJ in the middle. Silas Orta battling for position right there. Oh, Fitzwater! Looks like he might have blown a tire or something. He's way off pace in the number 9. And that definitely looks like a tire issue on the Beast Racing driver.
And that is going to if this is a tire issue, which it looks like it is.
He's got to be careful merging through traffic.
Oh, gonna touch Eli Bright just a bit there, and he's gonna try and get the pit road.
He's gonna cut into Stover and send him around! Oh, man, Fitzy. Well, our second flip of the weekend.
Oh, boy.
Oh, and Bartow slid into him, and then Davidson ran right into him.
Oh, no.
Second straight week, race leaders getting caught up in other people's mistakes. Bartow has a lot of right side damage as they take the caution.
Oh, man.
Yikes.
Well, this race has already gotten extremely crazy. Another flip here at the Martinsville Speedway. Never saw a flip here on Napa Fan. We've gotten 2 in the same weekend.
And Fitzwater, I mean, that wreck right there was so similar to what we saw at Dover when Eli Bright, who was the race leader at the time, cut down 3 lanes down into the field and caused a wreck, and then the leaders came through as they were racing back, got into him. Thankfully, that one wasn't near as egregious. And that might hurt Bartow a little bit there. I mean, we're not at the high-speed Dover Raceway anymore. We're at a slower racetrack, so hopefully it does not affect either Dover, or should I say either Bartow or Davidson. It looks like Stapleton's Powerade car, I will say that much. Brad Stover's still running. Dude went upside down and he's still running that thing. But Stover's not going to be happy with Fitzwater there. Tire went down on the 9 and tried to cut down and got him. The Stover sent him in the Brett Sierra. Nobody came down the pit lane there. So we're going to have to see how that shakes things out later on. We have it set to 2X. We're expecting only a one-stop race here. Tire wear, though, could become a factor in this race. I think it became a factor in last night's race, so that's also important. Either way, Bartow's still the race leader, even though he has damage. Let's go ahead and see what happened to bring out the first caution of the night here in the STP Old Dominion 500 from Martinsville. Zachary Fitzwater trying to come down the pit lane, and this is exactly the same mistake Eli Bright made last week. You're 3 lanes up and you come down, and there are people there who are still racing, and Fitzy running right in the Stover, sending him around. And Stover got T-boned by Brett Sierra, who was battling with Stover, and rode the wall through turn 3. We saw a flip last night with Jonathan Logan. We've seen another one here. This one was a little less violent. A tough break there for Brad Stover. Matt Dallio there in the back of the field got a piece of it. Had nowhere to go. Then, Trey Bartow, they're racing back to the line. Just sideswipes him right there. That was a heavy hit, and Mark Davison ran right into the back of him, which actually gave Cody Sill and Fisher Gia an extra position there. Now, for Davidson, I don't think he's got enough damage to knock him out. He should still be able to contend, and I think the same can go for Bartow, but my goodness. Just stop wrecking the leaders, guys. We've done that enough already this month.
Following along with Zachary Fitzwater, he's stuck up on that outside lane. He's got a tire going down, then Stover hooks him right into there and gets T-boned by Sierra. Rides the wall, and for the second day in a row, we have a flip here. He does a slow rollover, gets back on 4 wheels, and then gets absolutely pancaked by the 4 car. Bartow, aerodynamics is not necessarily the most important factor to win the race here at the Martinsville Speedway, but it's definitely going to play a small factor into this race. So clean this mess up, and we'll get back to the restart here in the STP Old Dominion 500.
We're back here at the Martinsville Speedway, and I gotta tell you, we've had some wild ones lately, and this one's shaping up to be another wild one. Of course, Trey Bartow, the race leader. He and Cody Sill have split the lap so far. Of course, Bartow's led more than Sill, so at the moment he's got that extra bonus point towards the championship for leading the most laps, but either way, Trey Bartow for Titan Fury Motorsports leads the field in the number 4. Nikolai Sykes, Cody Sill, Fisher G. Brad Stover a lap down, went flipping through the air. Maybe not that violently. He rode the wall, but he's a lap down there. That's going to be interesting to see how he affects the field. Mark Davidson rounds out the top 5. Everybody still in the race. Stover and Fitzwater both a lap down after that incident. Green flag back in the air and a great jump for Trey Bartow in the 4. Here comes Fisher G to the inside of Cody Sill for 3rd.
As we can see, Bartow, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how he handles the 4 car. He's losing a little bit of time on the 6 car. Interesting to see how this transpires through the race, as we're only almost a 5th of the way through the race. Still up in 3rd. And look at Brad Stover. He's not falling back as I thought he would be. He might actually try and pass this 95, possibly get his lap back.
That's going to be a little bit tough. A couple guys in the back coming down. Matt Dallio saw him get a little bit of damage, and then you see Dale Lightning was at the back of the field there as well. He might have gotten a piece of that too. Got a position change right here. John Arndt on Brandon Mayhew for the 6th position, trying to get to the inside of the Uncharted driver. John Arndt in an Uncharted sandwich right there. Trying to bump Mayhew out of the way. John Arndt's had a tough season in this 05 for King Art Family Racing. He'd love to go back to victory lane. He's got more wins than anybody on Napa Fan with 21. They're going for number 22 here today in the 7th Chick-fil-A Cup Series race victory. And for the race lead, we did it again. Nikolai Sykes on Bartow, but Bartow looking back on the inside of Sykes for the race lead. Fisher G to the inside of Cody Sill for 3rd, and Bartow's going to hold the inside on Sykes, put a bumper to him. How about some good old-fashioned short track racing here at the Paperclip?
If you don't like short track racing, you need to check yourself into a psychiatric ward. These guys dueling each other. Bartow with a beat up right side of his race car. He's still contending for this lead. But
you got to give a lot of credit to Nikolai Sykes, though, putting it to the veteran there. And this could be Sykes' night for his first ever Chick-fil-A Cup Series race victory. Of course, this is the perfect night for it. if either Sykes or Fisher G, both of those guys, are yet to be locked into the All-Star race next weekend, be a huge win for them if they can get it right before the All-Star race commences next week.
We've got a long way to go. We're only a quarter away through this race, so he's definitely going to have to fight that 4-car, or whoever's in second place's pit stops are definitely going to play a factor into who wins this race and who doesn't. But Sykes leads, completing 24 of the scheduled 100.
So 3 different leaders already. Nikolai Sykes, Cody Sill, and Trey Bartow. Sykes now with a clean race car leading this field and looking to pull away a little bit from the veteran driver. Fisher G here in the 7. I kind of hated the 2 lead changes we've had. We both missed. That's just how it rolls usually, you know. Maybe I'll be smart enough. Maybe I'll be, you know, not lazy and actually try to edit this in Premiere so you can get the little, what is it called? The little play-in box?
Side by side, I think.
The picture in box there in the corner. So we can actually see them happen live. Maybe I decided to do that. Probably not. Fisher G is closing in on Trey Bartow here, and I do think that the damage is hurting Bartow just a little bit. However, though, for Bartow, he still has a great chance of getting a good finish in this race. He might not be able to contend for the race victory, but he could contend for a top 5 finish, which would be great for this team. Of course, like I mentioned, they come to this race, I think, 37th in the points. It has been a tough one for these guys. Even though they started off the season really well, it has been going downhill since then. But great run for Bartow. And definitely love to see him get a good run here in his final season of the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. Sykes way up there. That might bring in Bartow back to this lead battle.
It will be, as Bartow, he is catching the 6-car just a little bit. And yeah, he closed in 0.06 of a second right there on Sykes. So Bartow, he's slowly but surely gaining in on that 6-car. But he continues to go just a little bit wide, and he's got Fisher G and Cody Sill right on his rear bumper. So it'll be interesting to see, and he loses just a little bit of time on Sykes again.
And another thing, too, definitely got to watch out for his tire wear. Of course, hopefully we don't get green flag pit stops in this race, because lots of times that's a mess when it happens. Not much side-by-side going on right now. It's a little bit tough to do so. You got Andrew Miller, 2-time winner already this season, who's currently 13, or should I say 11 ahead of the cutoff mark. He's kind of deep in the field. His teammate Nicholas Samanio also back there with them, 25th and 26th. Not the worst positions for those guys. Of course, Mitchell Henderson had his, you know, devastating moment on the pit lane at Dover last week after he was leading and got hit there and had to stay on the pit lane, repair some damage because of the hit on the pit lane. He's falling back a little bit. There's your guy, Cameron Darlington, in the 34. Here, Jalarvin Alonso, Nathan Stapleton. A lot of these guys who have been pretty strong this season. Matt Dallio kind of deep in the field. Dallio's a lap down along with Dale Lightning. We got Brad Stover, Matt Dallio, Zachary Fitzwater, and Dale Lightning all a lap down in this race, but everyone else still on the lead lap here at Martinsville. And Nikolai Sykes leading them all for Angel Racing. Of course, Angel Vera called the race with you guys last night in the Turkey Hill Series. And for second, Fisher G to the inside of Trey Bartow.
Not going to miss the pass for second right here, as he's going to try and go underneath. He's got the preferred line underneath Bartow. And gee, he doesn't have him quite cleared. I think Bartow has a good run on the straightaways. And I think yes, Fisher G doesn't have him quite
at the line right there, and he'll keep the inside right here. Seeing a bit of damage from Brett Sierra here in the 04, who was involved in an accident. He's at the back of the field, last guy on the lead lap. There's Nikolai Sykes in the 6, and there's the 7 getting around Trey Bartow. Bartow's going to try once again on the 7, though. But that battle for second has allowed Nikolai Sykes to pull away. Now, in last night's race, what we saw when these guys caught up to the back of the field, caught up the lap traffic, it actually caused Alphabet to lose the race lead to Seth Cole. Do you think we're going to see that with Nikolai Sykes? I mean, within a few laps here, I think they're going to close in to Brett Sear, Dale Lightning, Jesse Turner at the back of the field here. I think it's going to hurt Nikolai Sykes and bring in Fisher G for this race lead.
I'm not entirely sure, because with last night, that was after Alphabet had gambled on pit strategy. So he had already used up half of his tires on his left side, so they were kind of down, if you would say. So I don't think it's going to be as severe, but I think it could possibly play a factor in who wins this race.
Nikolai Sykes continuing to lead this event. He is actually pulling away a little bit from Fisher G right now, and he doesn't have anyone around him either. He's got a very big advantage because of that. However, these guys are closing in fast, and Brett Sierra, even though he has damage, he's going just as fast as everybody else. He's still at the tail end here, battling with all these guys at the back of the field. You got Kukulon back here in the 13. Not a good run for Kukulon. Not a good run for a lot of guys. I mean, ooh, someone with a problem. That's Diego Yepez in the 88. Odds are he's not going to get back around.
Oh, man, he is stuck on that inside.
This is going to be interesting entering the corner here. This could be a tire issue on Yepez, and remember, it was Yepez's teammate. Zachary Fitzwater had a tire issue earlier on. However, this time Yepez is on the inside, and thankfully, it'll not be a flip like the last time around. But
yeah,
Yepez
Beast
with an
Racing.
issue. Tough break for Beast Racing in this one here from Martinsville. They had a great run at the Dover International Raceway last week, and not the case this week at the Paperclip.
Yeah, so if I'm Ryan Durrani in that 68 car, I'm gonna be worried, hoping my all 4 tires stay up in this first run, as that we have yet to see pit stops. So, I'm Durrani. I'm kind of nervous in that 68 car. I'm kind of gripping the wheel a little bit tight, hoping my tire doesn't go down, especially in one of the turns where I'd been around.
I don't know why Durrani would care too much. He's at the back of the field. I think you mean Nikolai Sykes in the 6 is our race leader. But you don't want that to happen if you're the race leader. But we've already seen 2 tire issues tonight, and so we might see some more as the event goes along. But either way, Sykes is closing in the back of the field right here. Our points leader, Alexander Rhodes, currently running 18th. Not a bad run for him, all things considered. It's a tough place. Already won twice this season. Reagan Whitlock in the 92 is ahead of him in 13th. Great run for Whitlock. And then you got Shane Lake, who was our last winner, is 19th. All of those top 3 guys in points inside the top 20. Sam Manoskin, who's also top 5 in points, 4th in the standings coming into this race, is 20th on the racetrack. So great job for all those guys, all things considered. A lot of other guys who are kind of on the chase bubble are at the end of the field. So going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. There's Yepez finally coming off the pit lane. Going to be interesting to see how he merges here. He's going to merge right with Cody Sill. He's going to put Sill on the outside through the corner. That might bring in Davidson for the 4th position.
My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Ryan Durrani is not part of Beast Racing. Excuse me. Both the 68 and the 88 are sponsored by Arby's. That's where I got confused.
But they're on different teams.
Yeah. I just realized that.
Here a little wide there, right in front of our leader. This is going to be interesting for Nikolai Sykes. How will he get around Brett Sear? Both of these guys won the dual races back in February, but Daytona is a much different place than Martinsville, I'll tell you that much. And I think Fisher G's closing in here for this race lead in the number 7 machine.
I think he is as well as Sykes. He's trying to get around that 04 car. What's the interval is going to say? 1.11 right now. Wait for it to change.
0.91. Gain 0.2 right there. It's not like these guys at the back of the field are drastically slower than our race leaders. Now, I think another thing these guys are going to be having to worry about here soon is pit stops. I mean, if we get green flag pit stops, that could be a little topsy-turvy. Get a wreck in the middle of all that, and this is a tough place to do green flag pit stops. I'll tell you that much. You come in, you come out, and there's a transition there right down the backstretch, and you're going to have some guys who don't transition correctly. But Fisher G would love to get this race lead before all that happens, and like I mentioned, both these guys looking for a spot in the All-Star race next weekend. Neither of them have won a race, either last season or this season, and right now they're both scheduled to be in the Open, but if either of them win here tonight, they're going to both be in that All-Star race automatically, going for $25 in reserve for season number 10. Sykes still stuck behind the 04 of Brett Sierra, and Fisher G continues to reel him in here in Martinsville.
Yeah, this is looking like a carbon copy of the Turkey Hill Series race last night, where Alpha B was stuck behind Landon Smith Jr., and Seth Cole was slowly creeping in as Alpha B continued to use up more and more of his stuff. And he is right on the back bumper of Sykes as he is trying to get around
through that corner there.
He's going to lose a little bit of time. I wouldn't be surprised if Sykes uses the chrome horn and punts the 04 out of the way in one of these turns. It's got to be frustrating for that 6. As and I get on the 04's quarter panel, he's going to try and get a run off of him.
We're going to have to see if this slows Sykes down at all. Side by side with the 04, he's not going to be able to run off the corner as well as Fisher G will, so that might bring the 7 in. Meanwhile, Trey Barta's also closing a little bit here in the 4 machine, and Cody Sill too. Sykes a little wide there off of turn number 4. Fisher G's still here, you know. If Fisher G can get close enough here, he'll be able to pass Brett Sear just like Nikolai Sykes, but faster than the 6 did. They're still side by side right there. And look at the ground that Sykes has lost to the rest of the lead lap, lead lap cars here. Jesse Turner in the 77 pulled away from the race lead. Sykes finally gets around Brett Sear, and he's going to put Sear in between him and Fisher G. Meanwhile, Cody Sill
Still not wasting any time.
Putting the bumper to Barto. He's been behind him for quite a while here, but unable to get around the 4 machine.
A lot more impatient than Sykes. In Martinsville, you definitely need a lot of patience, but your patience can definitely be zapped in an instant.
Oh, yes.
Open the bump and run.
Very tight racetrack here, the Martinsville Speedway. Everyone is actually single file at the moment. They've fanned it down pretty nicely. But that's not to say these guys won't be passing here soon. Sykes a little wide, and that's not to say Brett Sear can find a way around the 6 eventually. I think Sykes is going to eventually close back in on Jesse Turner and these guys at the end of the field. But Fisher G still within distance of the 6, but that brought in Bartow and Sill here. And when we get the cycle to begin, we don't exactly know when it's going to be when the cycle begins. No one's really come down the pit lane yet. Here's Bradley Ream on Nicholas Samadillo back in the field. Bradley Ream's been kind of falling in the points a little bit, only 33 ahead of the cutoff. He's got to get in the Samadillo and send him around. My goodness! That's a rookie putting it to a veteran. I don't know if I'd be doing that with Mr. Edge. Wow, we saw that happen last night too, and I believe it was John Eaters, one of those guys who was involved in a little incident there. Didn't bring out a caution. They just got into each other and saved it before calamity happened.
Pros are definitely heating up. I don't think Samadillo is going to be happy about that. I think he would be happy to pay the favor back to the 40 car, maybe do a little bit of extracurricular activities for that, but man, what a move by Bradley Ream, the rookie of the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. He gains a position out of that, so that's good, and he makes his name and possibly gets on the highlight reel for this race.
And of course, that's kind of deep in the field. Those guys pretty much on the same straightaway as our race leader, Nikolai Sykes. Big question that I have here is when is the pit stop cycle going to begin? I think that's the big question a lot of these guys have in mind, and it's going to be soon. Just when will it be? Does seem like the fall-off has been too much on the speeds of these guys. They seem to have been able to keep the surface of this track pretty well gripped up, and not having too much of an issue keeping the same speeds as they were earlier on in the run. So tire wear might not be as much of a factor as we thought. But then on the flip side, too, you got to remember, very few guys have actually taken tires in this race. I mean, even Dale Lightning took tires in their caution. At this point, the tires are pretty much equal for everyone. And for Lightning and Dalio, there were a couple of guys who came down. They haven't really gained much through the field. Same with Fitzwater. Of course, Fitzwater has a little bit of damage there on the number 9 machine. But, looks like Alexander Rowe's got a bit of damage there. We'll have to see if that affects him at all. Our points leader. Still in the 16th position for points leader Alexander Rowe.
I've accidentally ran into the back.
And there goes our race leader down the pit lane. So Fisher G's going to lead a lap there. Our 4th different leader of the night. Nikolai Sykes coming down, and these guys have better be careful. Because this is not going to work out for Sykes if a caution comes out here. See if anyone else comes down the pit lane. There goes Bartow. I think Fisher G's going to stay out another lap. Cody Sill, you might want to stay out here because we could end up with a caution. These guys merging down the backstretch. Lots of times, problems ensue, and it could happen here tonight. Nikolai Sykes taking 4 tires. Trey Bartow's probably going to take 4 tires as well. I'd imagine it's going to be 4 tire stops for everyone. Let's see if Bartow decides to repair any of the damage on that machine. I don't know if I would do that if I were him. He was right there with the leaders. It did not affect him that much.
I personally would not. He's been running at in the solid top 5, maybe not in the first position, but he definitely needs the points if he wants to possibly even get into the chase.
Fisher G down, John Arndt down. They're coming down very slowly, though. They're not all coming down in one group. There's Garlington coming down the pit lane. Cody Sill is taking the race lead. Mark Davidson, Brandon Mayhew, and Trey Smith. This is where things just get really, really edgy here. Mayhew's coming down. Sill's down. Davidson's down. Mayhew's down. Trey Smith gonna go ahead and assume the race lead. Keegan Thompson staying out. Daniel McMillan is still out there in the 79. Just watch out. These could be guys who end up with the race lead if a caution comes out. It's such a short racetrack. You come into the pit lane, you're going to be a couple laps down. Our race leader, Nikolai Sykes, or who was our race leader, Nikolai Sykes, is currently a lap down at the moment. Faden coming down. Oskin, Miller looking to stay out here, and Miller and Ream still out there yet to make their stops. Bradley Ream was actually one of the first guys to come down last week, and he was in the catbird seat to win that race until he ran right in to, I think it was Eli Bright. And there we go!
There we go!
Davidson with damage, but no caution. They kept it straight. But Davidson again with damage from a lap machine. Or actually, it wasn't a lap machine. That was a lead lap car. And Garlington now getting into Davidson there. Davidson's slowing down a little bit from that damage, but that was a close call right there for those guys. There's Trey Smith in the 67. Troxel's going to lead a lap in the 35. Let's see how it all shakes out for these guys.
And it's definitely
the way for this whole thing to cycle through,
here.
I believe a majority of the drivers have come down and had service.
And Mark Davidson, he's just been a punching bag in this race as we see Brad Stover on the pit lane, Ace Garcia,
Miller and
Andrew
Reed
Miller
coming off here. But they're going to be midway through the field. There's Nikolai Sykes in the 6 machine. I'm not sure who the race leader is. It is, in fact, Mark Davidson. He got the advantage on the cycle. And he almost got sent into the wall.
Wow.
This is going to be interesting. Second place is Trey Smith, unchartered driver in the 2nd position right now. Gatlin Downey is being surpassed by the 7. Zachary Fitzwater is currently in the 5th position. However, Fitzwater is still going to have to make another stop in this race. So Mark Davidson, who almost got sent into the outside wall by Andrew Miller, saved it, has a ton of damage on the race car, is the new race leader here in Martinsville. Nikolai Sykes all the way back in 7th now. But he has gotten around Keegan Thompson. Contact there, Silas Orta to the inside of Keegan Thompson. That is for the 7th position. Daniel McMillan and John Art round out the top 10. Then Patrick Smith a lap down, Cody Sill. Trey Bartow's also lapped down. I believe they went to fix the damage. Another huge blow to this team. Unbelievable for Trey Bartow and those guys at Titan Fury.
Yeah, just
such a heartbreak for those guys. A lot of guys are all lapped down at this point. Nathan Faden, Jesse Turner, Patrick Smith, Trey Bartow, Brett Sierra, Matt Dalio, Dale Lightning, all a lap down. Got this long green flag run here in Martinsville. Really playing out interesting. Fisher G is coming in the 7, and we might have seen strategy. We weren't focusing on these guys when they came down. We were focusing making sure that they didn't wreck coming off the pit lane. But Mark Davidson in the 95 might have only taken 2 tires, and the Fisher G might have taken 4 because G just whipped right by Trey Smith in the 67, and he is coming for that 95.
I think Fisher G definitely has the best car on the racetrack. He's been up front all day, and Davidson, with the fact that he's taken 2 tires, plus the fact that he has a lot of damage from being beaten around the racetrack tonight, I think Davidson, he's going to need to block for the next 25 laps. But, G, I don't know if who's going to win this race. G goes to the inside of Davidson.
Slides him up the racer just a little bit, but we got the pass for the lead that time. Fisher G to the race lead here in Martinsville. His teammate Andrew Miller has won twice already this season, and now Fisher G has run a strong race all night. Caution!
Caution's out.
He took the race lead at the perfect time, I gotta tell ya. We were waiting for this to happen, and it was bound to happen. Fisher G will win the race back to the line. Mark Davidson, Trey Smith, Gatlin Downey. Zachary Fitzwater still out there. I don't know if he's going to be able to stretch it. Nikolai Sykes, Silas Orta, Keegan Thompson, John Arnott, and Daniel McMillan.
That was the perfect time
Jamming it up right there.
That was the perfect time for Fisher G to take the lead from Mark Davidson.
These guys should not have to come down here as they have already made their stop for the night. Of course, Fitzwater needed to make his stop He had come down really early on in the race and was not going to make it on fuel, so that's why he's going to be coming down. That's going to give Nikolai Sykes 5th. Silas Orta 6th, Keegan Thompson 7th, John Art, Daniel McMillan, Cody Sill will be the top 10 on this restart. And that made things a little interesting there. We had a really long green flag run, but now we're back under the yellow flag, and with under 20 laps to go, we're going to have a restart here at Martinsville. You got G and Davidson, the top 2 guys, and Trey Smith. And here's the thing, if Trey Smith wins this race, he's also going to be in the All-Star race next weekend. So keep that in mind.
Oh, about that.
Yeah, Trey Smith with a huge opportunity and some cash. How about that? Fisher G, the race leader. Mark Davidson, Faden is a lap down in the 12. Trey Smith, Gatlin Downey, Nikolai Sykes. Turner's a lap down in the 77. Tough break for Turner. He was one of those guys who was leading a lot at Dover last week. Silas Orta, Keegan Thompson, John Arndt, Daniel McMillan, Cody Sill. That's the top 10. Let's go ahead and see what happened to bring out the second caution of the night here in the STP Old Dominion 500 from Martinsville. 16th place at the time, Reagan Whitlock, second in the points, just jammed it into the rear of Brandon Mayhew and jammed it in a little too hot, let's just say that. Spun that thing around into the outside wall. Very mild accident. That could have actually avoided a caution, but they still threw the yellow out anyway, and I'm glad they did. We're going to have ourselves a pretty interesting finish here in the STP Old Dominion 500 from Martinsville.
Whitlock locking the brakes up, nearly taking out the 57 to Mayhew. Spins it out, and caution comes out, and then hello, Equan Haslam and Nicholas Amadeo scoot by on the inside. And Fisher G, right place at the right time for that 7 car, took the lead, almost identical time as the caution went out. We're going to have a 20-lap shootout here at the Martinsville Speedway.
Back here at the Martinsville Speedway, Chick-fil-A Cup Series action on this Friday night. Hope you folks have enjoyed it. Been a mild race. Martinsville Standards, only 2 cautions, but we've had a lot of different leaders for Martinsville Standards as well. Cody Sill, Trey Bartow, Nikolai Sykes, all led laps before the caution came out. For the green flag pit stops, I should say. Then we had a lot of different leaders during that cycle. Mark Davidson had the race lead, but then Fisher G with fresher tires came through. We'll have to see how it all shakes out. Fisher G, Mark Davidson, Trey Smith, uncharted driver, and the 22 of Gatlin Downey, and the 6 of Nikolai Sykes, and Fisher G just blew everyone out of the water with that restart. Jumped the field very nicely. And I'm just wondering if Davidson has a little too much damage after all that's happened in the night. He's gotten into a few guys. Still hanging on there. Gatlin Downey going to take 3rd away from Trey Smith. Nikolai Sykes going to go to the inside and take 4th away from Trey Smith. Silas Orta's here. John Arndt is here. Keegan Thompson, watch out for those guys. And of course Bartow, we saw him lap down after he came down the pit lane to repair the damage that did not need to be repaired. That's just a bad call for those guys. They had a great run going for them, and unfortunately not the case. Alex going to row down the pit lane, our points leader. And that will probably hand the points lead over to somebody else at the end of the night. Meanwhile, Fisher G pulling away like crazy. And Davidson just has too much damage to really hold on. Faden's pulled away. Downey's going to take 2nd away from the 95.
Downey put the front bumper to the back bumper. Davidson, he is just trying to wheel this thing to a possible decent finish. He's going to lose a position to Sykes, who's on the preferred line. Sykes is going to go to the inside. Trey Smith, he's also going to try and pass the 95 here. But meanwhile, Fisher G definitely in the catbird seat as he is putting on a clinic on the rest of the guys. My, oh my.
Yeah, they got stuck behind Davidson, and that 95 was much lower than the 7. And this is Fisher G's race to lose at this point. There is nobody around him. But Alex in a row, that's a big story right there, falling all the way to 40th. That will be the worst finish he's had all season. You got Reagan Whitlock and Shane Lake who are going to easily surpass him in the championship standings. Whitlock 17th, Shane Lake in the 15 machine. Try to see where he is on the racetrack.
I believe he's in the mid-20s.
He's 17th, right around where Whitlock is. So those guys are going to surpass him in points. So Alex in a row is going to lose the points lead again. But he's still inside the chase. That's what matters at this point. He had 81 points on the cutoff, so not too bad. Fisher G's got to be careful, though. I mean, Faden's could close in, and while Faden's a lap down, Downey could find a way around him there. Davidson holding on the 4th. Trey Smith in the 5th position. as the uncharted driver from North State Racing. John Arndt, Sal Lasorda, side by side. That is for the 6th position. You know, John Arndt's been really quiet in this race, but you got to give him a lot of credit. It's been a tough season for this team, and they're rebounding nicely here tonight in Martinsville. Great run for these guys before they head into the All-Star break and eventually head into the Coke 600 a couple weeks from now. Keegan Thompson, Cody Sill, and you got to give another huge shout-out to Daniel McMillan. This team has really struggled as of late. They've been involved in a lot of crashes, and they were 1.40th in the standings. Top 10 run right now for Daniel McMillan here at Martinsville. Great to see that of this team, and of course it's my team, I know, but McMillan's had a tough one this season. And of course, two-time winner of the season, Andrew Miller, who's currently inside the chase, going to get a nice finish right now in 11th. But Fisher G in the number 7, this is going to be a huge win on multiple fronts. He's going to put himself in the All-Star race. And not only that, with this win, that puts him in the wild card race, and maybe even enough points to put him inside the top 10 eventually. But that's going to mean a lot, getting put in the wild card race for the chase coming up here. After tonight, only 8 races remain in the regular season. This is going to be a huge win for Zidell Motorsports, as their only driver yet to win the season will be Nicholas Samadillo. Samadillo in the 48. Currently 19th, not too bad. Samadillo came in 13 behind the cutoff, so they're not going to lose too much on that 48 team. Zidell Motorsports has had a very strong season so far, and they're looking for their 3rd win of the year here at Martinsville.
And Zidell Motorsports is definitely going to be the team to beat in the Owners' Championship. 2 of their 3 cars have won races this year, with Andrew Miller winning at both Rockingham and Auto Club, and if everything plays out to the way it is, Fisher G will win here at Martinsville. But lap traffic, Ellen Downey's 3 seconds back, but lap traffic could possibly hold them back enough to where he could possibly get held up.
It'll be interesting to see if lap traffic does come into play, but with only 4 laps to go, only unless Fisher G wrecks, don't think that's going to be too much of a problem for him. You know, you mentioned Zidell Motorsports being the team to beat this year. Velocitar Racing has already gotten 3 wins. They got twice with Shane Lake at Atlanta and Dover, and they also got Troxel at Talladega. So it could be between Velocitar and Zidell this year for that Owners' Championship. Anyways, Fisher G, you got to be a little careful not to get involved in anything. Going a little wide there through the corner. It's probably the smart thing to do. There's no way Downey's going to catch up to him, only unless he wrecks in these last 2 laps. But great job out of Fisher G. Great drive. Great call on the pit lane to take 4 tires, get the advantage on Mark Davidson. And he was able to beat out everyone else on the pit lane. Played the strategy very nicely, kind of midway through the cycle, and gave him the advantage. And it looks like it's going to give him his first career Chick-fil-A Cup Series race victory, even though Downey's closing in quite a bit here. Fisher G looking really strong here in the STP Old Dominion 500. Coming to the white flag here at Martinsville. 1 to go for driver number 7, Fisher G.
I think as long as he has a pretty good back straightaway in turns 3 and 4, call out the dogs to put out the fire, Fisher G is going to win here at Martinsville.
Fisher G for Zidell Motorsports gets his first career Chick-fil-A Cup Series race victory. He wins the STP Old Dominion 500 at Martinsville. Solid win for these guys at the perfect time as well. Fisher G will be in next week's Mellow Yellow All-Star race with that race victory right there.
Congratulations to Fisher G. Gatlin Downey coming oh so close, was trying to stage a run there, ends up coming second. Nikolai Sykes, the most dominant car all day, he finishes third. And then Mark Davidson, he shouldn't complain, he got a 4th place finish, so salvaged something out of that. And then Trey Smith, uncharted driver, he gets the the 5th place position. 6th is John Arndt, 7th is Silas Orta, 8th is Keegan Thompson, 9th is the 37 of Cody Sill, and rounding out the top 10 is the 79 of Daniel McMillan.
Great run for those guys, especially McMillan and John Arndt. I think a couple of guys who, have been in the series a long time, have had tough seasons. Rebounded nicely here tonight in Martinsville. And take a look at the rest of the results right there. Everyone finished the race. No one was knocked out. Everyone actually finished. Brad Stover, who had a wall ride, finished 5 laps down, of course. But Trey Bartow, that's a tough one, because Bartow was up front, start on the outside, pole for this race, and finished a lap down after they repaired the damage. I don't think they needed to repair. Of course, they probably saw something was like, this isn't going to make it to the finish of the race. We got to repair it. Salvage a 35th place finish, but Bartow, man, been falling on the points. Such a heartbreaker for those guys. Matt Dallio, another guy who was doing really well early on. It was actually in the chases a couple races ago. He's got another rough finish. And then the points leader, Alexander Rowe, had an issue. And Rowe is not going to be the points leader anymore. That's probably going to be Reagan Whitlock by 1 point over Shane Lake.
Oh, man.
It's going to be tight up there. Of course, at this moment, the points lead doesn't mean that much. Of course, you get more bonus points heading into the chase if you are the points leader. But all those guys still well in the chase at this moment. You guys will see the championship standings when we're finished here from Martinsville. But now we're going to head into our All-Star break here. And I'm going to give you a moment to kind of comment on this one. It's going to be a fun race next Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern from the Charlotte Motor Speedway at the Chick-fil-A, or should I say the Meliella Open. Meliella, the new sponsor of the All-Star race. And then we're going to have qualifying in between the two. And then we're going to do the actual race where it's going to be a 10-lap segment, a 10-lap segment, a 10-lap segment, and then another 10-lap segment. We invert the field at the end of segments 1 and 2, and the average finishing position of the first 3 segments makes up the starting lineup for the final 10-lap segment. It's actually the same exact format we've had the past few years when we had the All-Star race at Eldora, only this time it's at Charlotte. So how do you think the All-Star race is going to go next week? It's going to be a wild race there at the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Indeed it is. It's going to be under the lights. That's going to be probably the best thing about it. And it's at Charlotte for the first time. Traditionally, it's been done at Eldora. Now going to the World Center of Stock Car Racing for Charlotte. I mean, like, well, not really. World Center of Stock Car Racing in Charlotte. It's going to be a hometown race for most of these guys. It's definitely going to be exciting to see who gets it done at the All-Star race next week.
It will be Mellow Yellow All-Star Night next Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time right here on Napa Fan. Gonna be a good one. A great one here in Martinsville. I don't think it was as wild as we thought it was going to be, but considering the past races we've had, I think it's a good thing it wasn't a wild race. Played out just like any other race would, and it was fun. It was interesting, and Fisher G just got his first career Napa or Chick-fil-A Cup Series race victory. He's won before Napa Fan, just not in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series, but that's going to put him in the All-Star race right at the end, so congratulations to him on that. And we thank you guys so much for watching here from the Martinsville Speedway. Tomorrow night, also recommend you check out Marty's race from Martinsville, New Era Cup Series. I called that race with him, and it's also at the same version of Martinsville, so it should be a good one there for the New Era Cup Series at the Paper Club. Thank you guys so much for watching. On behalf of Trey Wright, here are the points for the Chick-fil-A Cup Series after 12 races. We'll see you guys next week for one hot night at Charlotte. Also, we'll see you guys for Indianapolis 50 qualifying next week, too. Big weekend coming up next weekend. Big weekend next weekend. Big weekend 4 weeks from now. The James and New Wickard Shootout. Got a lot of great stuff coming up here. Hope you stick around. Congratulations to Fisher G for winning here in Martinsville. And here are the points for the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. I will see you guys later.